Often the second budget of a government is the interesting budget because it shows what it plans to do for the rest of its mandate and how it plans to do it. But I have to tell you that Budget 2017 doesn't quite measure up to that, partly because Budget 2016, last year's budget, did a lot of that work, and partly because, well, there doesn't seem to be all that much new money around. However, this was to be the innovation and skills development budget, and there is money in the budget for that. For instance, the government is going to have a $1.26 billion strategic innovation fund available over the next 5 years. This is actually part of the old fund that was available for the automotive and the aerospace industries to innovate. Now it's being expanded to include other industries and more money, and it is $1.26 billion for a strategic innovation fund over the next 5 years. The government is also putting aside $950 million over the next 5 years, and that is for superclusters. What are superclusters? Oh, I thought you'd ask me that, so let me tell you. They are high-tech centers of excellence that bring together academe, business, skilled workers, all of them involved in cutting-edge industries, all of them designed to speed up economic development. Now, you might think that that sounds like a good fund for your industry to go into, but unless you're in the right industry, you can't go in it. You have to be in advanced manufacturing, transportation and infrastructure, the digital economy, clean tech, or biosciences. If you want to tap into $950 million over 5 years, and you have to compete for that money, only the most innovative proposals and the most interesting looking projects are going to be funded by the government. Skills development, a lot of money for skills development, everything for Aboriginal youth, for people just starting into the workforce, for people in mid-career who have to retrain to move to other kinds of jobs, all sorts of programs there for the next 5 years or more, all of them tied to either the federal government spending alone or some of them involving the provincial government as well. That is really the interesting new spending. What about taxes? Well, taxes, you say? I can't tell you much about taxes, and that's because taxes are going to have to wait for a study by the government. It's already underway. It will be completed, they say, later this year, and it won't be completed, I'll bet, and I think you can probably see this is true, it won't be completed until after the government knows what Donald Trump is planning to do with taxes in the United States. Same goes for defense spending. We know there is probably going to be more defense spending, but there is going to be a defense policy review. In fact, it is also underway now. We should know by the end of the year what that is going to say, and then there'll be some dollar figures attached to that. The deficit. Well, what is the deficit going to be in the coming fiscal year, which begins on April 1st? The deficit is going to be between $25 billion and $27 billion. We don't know precisely, it'll depend, but it's going to be in that range. It is going to be high for a number of years. In fact, there's no time when the government can say that it's going to have its books back in the black. But it does say this, it does say that the debt to GDP ratio is going to keep going down, and the government says that's the important figure when you're talking about deficits and debt, and the ratio is going to continue going down for the life of this government. So that's sort of the highlights, some of them anyway, of Budget 2017.